For most of my life, people told me I was lucky. Lucky to have a devoted husband who adored me. Lucky to be born into wealth and power. Lucky to have a sister who was my best friend.
My husband, Adrian, kissed my cheek over breakfast, murmuring something about a surprise later that evening.
Recently, Adrian was working late more often, Leela had grown distant, and whispers about missing funds circled the boardroom.
I stood before the mirror and stared at the woman looking back. She had everything: money, power, fame, and love. I smiled excitedly. I was about to have the bore. Maybe not. Because everything I loved was about to be ripped away.
It all looked perfect from the outside, and I clung to that illusion with desperate, foolish hands. The night glowed with celebration. Laughter echoed through the Lewis estate. Champagnes. Adrian had promised a surprise upstairs, something that could change everything we thought our future held. I saw a door slightly ajar, and I walked towards it, curiosity tinged with hope for something magical. I pushed the door open, not knowing my life was about to shatter in ways I couldn't imagine.
Adrian was inside, with Leela. My heart shattered into a million pieces as I watched the betrayal unfold.
The two people I trusted most had torn my world apart, and they didn't even pause to notice I was there. Something inside me broke.
A cruel smile curved my tear-stained lips. This was the beginning of a storm they would never survive. The night glowed with celebration. Laughter echoed through the Lewis estate. Adrian had promised a surprise upstairs, something that would change our future. I stumbled out of the room, my vision blurred by tears, my chest burning as if someone had carved it open.
Don't make a scene.
We both know this marriage was a mistake.
The humiliation spread faster than fire. By morning, whispers had turned into headlines.
I watched everything I'd built vanish, piece by piece. Friends stopped caring.
I stared at my reflection in a shop window, and I looked like a shadow of myself. I smiled.
"When can I see you?" I asked into my phone. "Whenever you want," he replied.
The night glowed with celebration. Laughter echoed through the listening.
Adrian had promised a surprise upstairs, something that would change our future, and I couldn't wait to see what awaited. The sky was heavy with rain as I walked back from my lawyer's office, clutching a brown envelope to my chest.
Mr. Sinclair had helped me find a small, crumbling bedsit on the outskirts of the city. It wasn't much, but it was a start.
I noticed the black SUV behind me. It followed too closely, too deliberately. My pulse quickened, and fear took hold. The impact was brutal. Metal slammed into flesh, and I soared before crashing to the ground, pain shooting through me like fire. The envelope slipped from my grasp as the rain swallowed everything, my blood mixing with water, warm against the cold, vision fading.
Somewhere, far away, tires screeched and voices shouted.
The night glowed with celebration. Laughter echoed through the Lewis estate. Champagne sparkled, and Adrian had promised a surprise upstairs. Something that would change our future.
A throbbing pain hammered behind my eyes as I fought to open them. The ceiling above me wasn't
Confusion clawed at me.
Where was I?
Moments later, two figures appeared. A rugged man with weathered skin and a woman with kind but cautious eyes. My heart raced.
I'm Thomas, a fisherman. I found you by the riverbank.
Oh, my files. Did you see my files?
The night glowed with celebration, laughter echoing through the grand halls, and I felt life could not get any better. Adrian had promised a surprise upstairs, something that would change everything about our future. I tore it open with trembling hands, relief flooding me as I realized everything was still intact.
Before I could breathe, their old wooden television hummed to life, the words stabbing through me.
I thanked the family quietly, then slipped into the darkness, hiding beneath a hood and dark glasses.
At Jonathan's apartment, red tape screamed, "Do not enter," but I crossed it anyway into the metallic stench of blood.
My foot struck something, his glasses. They weren't ordinary. They recorded everything he saw. Jonathan, bloodied and bound, demanded the name of who wanted him dead. The voice laughed.
The night glowed with celebration. Laughter echoed through the Lewis estate. Champagne sparkled.
Adrian Hart.
A week pieced, and the world still believed I was dead. That was my greatest weapon. Her eyes brimming with anger on my behalf. "They tried to bury you," she said, sliding a cheek across the table.
Her support became my foundation. I built a new identity that they would never recognize.
Then every night, I pored over the files and the flash drive, tracing every crime: offshore accounts, embezzlement, political bribes. At dawn, I watched from the shadows as the package was delivered to her office. She had no idea who sent it. The first blow had been struck, and soon, the headlines would do the rest. I couldn't wait to watch their world burn. By morning, the city burned with truth. Leaked documents exposing fraud, embezzlement, and illegal. Clara Lewis delivered flawlessly, slicing through lies and releasing forged contracts, offshore accounts, and secret transfers to the world. Within hours, it spread everywhere. Stocks crashed, investors fled, and government inquiries ignited like wildfire. Then my father's name appeared, bold, undeniable, tied to bribes and shell companies, finally dragged into the light. I imagined Adrian unraveling, comforted by lies, panic hiding beneath polished smiles.
In cafes, whispers spread, powerful names exposed.
I smiled into my coffee, knowing this was only the beginning. The evidence was endless, and I held it all. I vanished into the street unnoticed. My war had just begun, and I wouldn't stop until they fell.
Behind the glass walls of Adrian's boardroom, chaos reigned, voices colliding as fear and anger spiraled out of control.
Investors were gone, confidence evaporated, and the company's stock plunged faster than anyone could stop it.
Adrian's fury erupted, desperation cracking through power as money and credibility drained away in silence. Their father chased old allies, but every unanswered call marked another piece of power slipping away. Each hour, new evidence surfaced, feeding a fire no lawyer or strategy could contain.
From the shadows, I watched their empire collapse faster than they could ever rebuild it. That night, I set Phase 2 in motion, and the game truly began.
The second strike hit harder than the first. By dawn, whispers were already spreading through the city's elite. Adrian's accounts were frozen overnight. Liquidity vanished, staff unpaid, bribes impossible, and banks quietly stepped away. Partners canceled contracts without warning. In the boardroom, shouting died, replaced by something far worse.
Leela paced like a caged animal. Every door was closing. Someone out there knew everything. Even the offshore accounts disappeared. This wasn't exposure anymore. It was systematic dismantling.
I studied every file he left behind. I knew exactly where to cut and who to tell.
From a quiet house, I watched them crumble on the evening news, exposed and shaking. This was no longer humiliation. It was annihilation. And the real war had just begun. Days blurred into nights as I combed through Jonathan's encrypted files, searching for anything new. And then I found it. A hidden audio folder, dated 2 days after the world thought I was dead. Attached was a folder filled with evidence, surveillance footage, signed documents, and boardroom recordings. My heart slammed as I pressed play, never expecting betrayal to sound so calm. She promised them I was gone, erased, forgotten, buried without a single goodbye. The next morning, the recording flooded the world, and the truth came screaming back.
Sponsors vanished, crowds gathered, and her name became poison on every screen.
They crowned her the Viper Heiress, watching her fall with the same hunger she once had.
From the shadows, I watched her break. Now she knew how destruction truly felt.
Days bled into nights as I hunted through Jonathan's secrets, chasing truth through code, silence. Then I found it. A hidden audio file, dated 2 days after the world decided I was already dead. A hidden audio file, dated 2 days after the world decided I was already dead. The plan was risky, precise, and irreversible. Under darkness, she hired professionals who knew how to disappear. But endings require proof, not pain, and I wasn't finished until their lie collapsed completely.
Aunt Clara knew the answer, and in a whisper, she offered a plan bold enough to wake the dead.
We drove in silence to Willow's Rest, where forgotten graves slept, and questions were never asked.
Before dawn, shovels cut the earth open, and a coffin answered with a sound I'll never forget. The body inside wasn't mine, not even close, just another life stolen to erase me.
DNA sealed the truth. An unidentified young woman, murdered days before they declared me dead.
They buried a stranger to erase me, but now that lie would bury them instead.
They thought they could outrun the consequences, disappearing into dawn like it would save them. The road answered first. Metal screamed, rubber burned, and the chase ended in sparks. Adrian stepped out first, defiance stiff in his spine, fear hiding underneath. Leela followed, last night clinging to her dress, her color already gone. My father fought until hands forced him down, cameras feasting on the fall. They weren't just charged. Fraud, obstruction, murder reopened, and the world watched. No bail. Flight risk. The words landed heavier than chains. The courtroom breathed tension, reporters packed shoulder to shoulder, every pen hovering, waiting for a name to fall. Adrian and Leela entered in chains, the Lewis name stripped bare, reduced to ink beneath a booking number. The prosecutor stood, introducing a recording pulled from the dead man's own legal shield. Jonathan's voice emerged softly, calm and knowing, as if he had planned to be heard from the grave. A struggle echoed, demands barked, fear colliding with certainty inside that final recording. Then came the name, spoken cold and clear, slicing through the gallery like broken glass. Leela drained of color. Adrian flinched, guilt betraying him before words ever could. The gavel fell hard, bail denied, warrants issued, the rooms sealing their fate.
Days later, the hired hands were found, hiding in places as broken as their choices. They confessed quickly, cash paid in halves, orders traced back to Adrian alone. Headlines screamed betrayal, the Lewis legacy collapsing in public ink.
But justice wasn't finished, and the next move would hurt far more. They threatened demolition, but demolition would poison the land I was meant to rule. So I dressed in quiet black and chose the only path that would stop them.
When I entered the courthouse, the air shifted before anyone remembered my name.
Shock rippled through them.
I told them how the river felt, who saved me, and whose body wore my name.
Months of lies collapsed when the state chose my truth as its own.
Demolition was denied, restitution ordered, and everything they owned was moved to me. I took their entire world without lifting a single finger. Adrian pressed too hard, ink pooling like a bruise, while Leela's hand shook beside him.
My father paused, eyes wet, burdened with words he could barely speak.
Do not come near me. Not here, not ever. Attempt to touch what is mine and face chains.
When the last page was witnessed, the officer closed the leather file and left. Security opened the penthouse door that evening. My father hovered with an apology I did not want.
He went without courage, his heart shattered, but I did not care to watch him leave.
I went home to Aunt Clara's spare room. Tonight, I wanted clean tea, quiet air, and a locked door. I stood before the brass letters and gave the only order that mattered. Remove them. Install the new name.
I arrived at headquarters before sunrise. The lobby lights blinked awake as I...
By noon, the city said it aloud with me. Lewis Global was gone. Phoenix Holdings rose in its place. Staff gathered on every floor while I spoke from the atrium. I promised audits, protection, growth, and wages paid on time. The foreigner signatures freed frozen payments. The second stabilized credit lines. By evening, suppliers were unloading at the docks.
An old receptionist cried in the lift and hugged me without asking. I let her.
Outside, the city chose a side. Banners read, "Welcome back." A cafe sent pastry.
I stood at the window as the new sign caught the last light.
The message arrived at dawn. An encrypted email with no subject line and a single sentence.
In one clip, Adrian and Leela discussed forging a death certificate, arranging hush money.
In another, they laughed about how the police would never check twice. My pulse raced. I forwarded everything to the prosecutor's office. Within hours, the state amended the charges.
The news hit like an atomic bomb. Adrian fired his lawyers in panic, while Leela locked herself in.
And in a final betrayal, my father called the prosecution, begging for a deal.
It was too late.
The courtroom would no longer debate their guilt, only their punishment.
The courthouse was overflowing before sunrise. Reporters jostled for space, lined the streets.
Adrian, Leela, and my father were escorted in wearing prison uniforms, their wrists chained like the criminals they were.
The prosecutor spoke first, and one could feel his fury. The evidence was irrefutable. They conspired to fake a death and obstruct justice.
Leela trembled. Adrian tried to shift the blame, pointing at her. She spun, screaming.
The judge listened in silence, then rose, eyes cold, ready to deliver a verdict that would seal their fate forever.
Gasps rippled through the courtroom. Reporters surged forward as the sentence of life without parole echoed against the walls.
As they were led away, heads bowed and wrists bound, I watched without pity.
Justice had been served. But my story wasn't over yet, and the shadows of their lies lingered behind me. Power didn't feel the way I'd imagined. Victory tasted bitter when the cost was everything you once loved.
I visited Jonathan's grave at dusk, placing white lilies on the cold stone. I kept my promise.
But the war isn't over. Just as I thought peace was within reach.
Adrian's legal team had filed an appeal, arguing the trial was biased because the victim was still alive.
If they won, everything I'd fought for could unravel. And then came the next blow, a headline flashing everywhere. Someone was leaking confidential documents, twisting facts, and tarnishing my name. I slammed the laptop shut.
If they want a war, I whispered to the empty room, I'll give them a battlefield. But deep down, I knew this wasn't random. Someone close was pulling the strings.
The headline spread like rot. At Dan, I locked the phones and started combing through access logs, searching for the truth hidden in shadows.
A single name surfaced, Harold Brandt, my father's oldest loyalist. Payments traced from a prison trust to a shell company he controlled. I called an emergency board meeting and let the room fill. Every chair, every glance, heavy with the weight of what was about to play. Harold's voice spilled from the speakers, smooth and damning, revealing leaks and treachery behind a polished mask of loyalty. Handcuffs clicked, cameras flashed. The betrayal was visible in the silence, the fall of those who thought untouchable. An hour later, contraband surfaced. Coded notes, numbers, a secret list of reporters, proof of plans hidden in plain sight. That evening, Alexander Pierce stepped in. He read the file, closed it, and looked up with winter in his eyes, quiet yet commanding.
If we want them buried, we need evidence even a Supreme Court won't touch. The stakes had never felt higher.
We worked by lamplight, peeling back layers until a heartbeat pulsed on the screen. Account 7K, Argent Tide. From there, the veins ran everywhere. A corrupt judge, 2 senior officers, 3 journalists, 1 transfer stopped my breath. A monthly retainer to a senator now running for president. Release this, and you don't just win a case.
You crack the country. I thought of Jonathan.
By noon, filings hit the docket. Obstruction of justice, witness tampering, political corruption.
By dusk, the court agreed. New sentencing hearing, maximum enhancement requested. From prison came a letter in Leela's curl. I didn't know it would go this far. Forgive me.
When the last embers died, Alexander spoke. I didn't take this to win.
I took it because of you.
The sentencing was brief. I stood, hands steady on the rail. I didn't show my father any mercy. He got sentenced to 2 years in imprisonment with hard labor. I watched, my thoughts as sharp.
Alexander drove east until the city fell away and the sea took over the horizon. He spoke to the wind with quiet pain.
I lost someone to men like them, he said. Since then, I've only known war.
I didn't remember how to like anyone in that light. I admitted it softly, unsure of truth. Then let me teach you slowly. I'm not in a hurry. Time is a luxury I can afford when it comes to you, he said.
I laughed softly in a way that surprised me.
Revenge had given me purpose, but purpose was not destiny. Somewhere beyond the skyline.
That night, at a charity gala under a cathedral of light, Alexander found me on a balcony.
A year is a lifetime if you live it awake. Phoenix Holdings owns.
In the prisons, tabloids christened Adrian and Leela the ghost couple, forgotten even while breathing.
I took white lilies to Jonathan's grave and left a note beneath the stone. I kept my promise.
He held out a ring like the truth. I don't want to save you, he said. I want to stand beside you.
I looked at the city I had wrestled back from the dark, at the people inside it building lives that would never know my private wars.
Yes, I said, and the word fit. We stepped out beneath the stars, hand in hand.
From the ashes of betrayal, I rose